This is a SpatialXL training video showing how to add point data to SpatialXL. In my spreadsheet here, I've got X and Y locations, which are actually longitudes and latitudes that came from my GPS device for these particular customers. This could be any points, it could be shops, it could be retail outlets, it could be any kind of data that you work with in your company. I'm going to change my X to be longitude or long, and I'm going to change my Y to be latitude or lat, and by doing that we are telling SpatialXL that it needs to work with this data as proper longitudes and latitudes, and for later queries it's very good to work with the data in this format. I'm going to open my spatial pane by clicking on my SpatialXL tab at the top and then show spatial pane. This is my graphics or my mapping area that opens up on the right hand side. Now, to add these points to SpatialXL, you simply make sure that you are on a particular cell. It doesn't matter what cell in your data, and once you've got the focus of that cell, you right click there, SpatialXL, add layer. A properties dialog comes up with some default properties we can change for this particular point layer. At the moment I'm just going to take the basic defaults. And as you can see, all my points appear here from my spreadsheet. Now there's a few things we can do with these points. The first thing is I just want to change my name of my layer to be something a bit more simple. So I'm just going to double click it and say customers. And now whenever I look at this layer here, I know that it is my customer layer. Also, just to explain how this workbook is put together, the name of this workbook layer is analyticstraining.xlsx, and that is the same name as the actual workbook itself. We call this the workbook containing layer, and everything that's inside this will be saved with the workbook. And to see what is inside it, you can click on this little triangle and you can see customers go inside and pop out again, so we know that customers are actually underneath this layer, and whenever this workbook is saved with a normal save button like that, this will remain available when you open the workbook again. I've also changed my name of my worksheet earlier to be customers, because instead of sheet 1 or sheet 2, it's quite a nice descriptive name to work with. Before you add your longitude and latitude data, it's good to just look at the format to make sure it looks right. These kinds of numbers are correct for South Africa. The longitudes being in the 30s, 25 down to 18, etc., and then the latitude being kind of similar numbers but with a minus in front. We can do some basic navigation in SpatialXL. I'm just going to show you how. If I click on my map area, that gives focus to this area, and now I can use my mouse wheel, and wherever I put my mouse wheel over, it will zoom into that particular area. So I can go in there and then change my focus to that area, and by just playing with my mouse wheel I can actually zoom in and out of an area. Now, to get my data into a nice overall view again, I can use my zoom fit buttons. This one is for all data, so it will include all layers in this particular area, or it could be a zoom fit on a particular layer. In this case, because I only have one layer, it doesn't really matter which one I use. There's a panning tool as well, which will just move data along. To show you how to change some properties of this particular layer, if I right click and go to properties on the layer itself, I can see here information about this layer, how it's set up. And in styling, for instance, I can change the basic color of my points. And there you can see I've changed my point colors. We can also turn on labels. So for instance, I can just right click here, go to text labels, and maybe show, let's say, the road that my data is in, and there you can see my labels have turned on, showing me the name of the road that my data is lying in. I'm going to turn my text labels off again. I can also inspect my data. So if I click on my inspector tool, I can click on a particular point, and there you can see the information that this point is, where it is, what the row is, the ID of that particular point, and so on. We can also select that in Excel by just clicking on select in Excel, and there's my exact row in Excel. If there's more than one point underneath this area, you can also go backwards and forwards. So you can see there's 2 points here, and the second one we can also select in Excel. So you can toggle back and forth if data is overlapping. We can go from Excel to our map as well. So for instance, if I put my cursor on this row here and I say zoom selected and highlight selected, it will show this particular record. I can also do multiple selections like that. So I can, for instance, go to these 4 records here, zoom to all of them, they're all across the country, and highlight all of them, and you can see here those are the areas that they fall into. There's also auto select and auto zoom, so if I turn those on and I just click on a record, it will go to that particular record. I'm also going to show how to do a very simple filter on the data. So let's say we want to show only data that is in the Eastern Cape province. There is only the data in the Eastern Cape province. I can do a zoom fit on this as well. Now let's say I only want to see data where the town is maybe Summerstrand and maybe a few other towns around here. And you can see those are the particular clients or points that fulfill that criteria. There I can see the combined income of those particular customers and the average spend over here. I can also do theming, so I'm first going to clear my filters to do that properly. So just a very simple theme I can apply. I'll go into customers, properties, thematics, and let's say that we'd like to theme on a number field of income. So I go to colors, color column must be income, and let's say color based on number ranges, because this is a number field. And here you can see the low to high numbers and the coloring here as well. If I say OK, you can see this is my distribution of my different categories, and I can even turn off lower income areas to see the high ones stand out more clearly. Just another theme that I can also apply. If I go back into themes and I just clear this and change my column to be type, I go to my color based on text values and I choose unique colors, and there we could actually change our colors to match the names here: red, blue, green, brown, and grey. And here you can see all of the data as themed by that particular column. And here I can also turn off particular themes to see that one better. If I turn off my themes, it goes back to the default color that I've set up for these points. And that is the end of this particular training video. Thank you very much.